Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I got a comment on a Facebook post earlier, and I replied to it, and I thought, oh, that'd make a good video. And then also, I'm going to send that over to the Texas Rangers and to Sheriff Kreiner because I think they'll find it interesting as well, and as well, and so will the public, on Facebook and YouTube because I post the videos in both places. And so, anyways, it was on this Facebook post here from yesterday. And if y'all remember, there was I was making a video a couple days ago about the light on in the attic. And as soon as I started talking about it, it went off, and then even yesterday, somebody was writing about that going, oh, that was so bizarre, because obviously they were listening to me talk and they turned the light off real quick, unplugged it. And I just replied back. I said, there's not a day that goes by I don't hear people in this house. And the reason is there's $1 million underground home in the backyard where a young girl was murdered in an oil show party in 2010. They're protecting that. These crimes are nonstop. They've been going on. I first reported, a burglary 10 years ago. And then I shot in 2012. And then the homeowner before me that's dead, he was telling his friends that people were breaking into this home. And then homeowners all across, Midland, Odessa, Texas, and other states reporting people in the attic. Same thing I reported when I was ambushed and shot. This is way bigger than just my home. But back to this comment I got. This was a Facebook post right here. I woke up, I had a nightmare, and I've had many of them. You can't imagine the terror of what I've lived through, the number of death threats that I've had, and maimed, mutilated, dismembered, it's just unbelievable because of this massive crime and police corruption problem that is allowing it, and so anyways, my first comment under there and under, my Facebook post, and it's a short read. I said, the ex-wife told me in so many words that a lot of people were with the murder party on the night I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. If they had tried to hide that, then they should be charged accordingly. And that's the people that were here that knew about it, the witnesses or the accessories. I think they're witnesses if they reported the violent crime. If they tried to hide it, then they're accessory to capital attempted murder. This is a premeditated capital murder case or capital attempted murder case where the innocent victim was left crippled for life. There's nobody that accidentally sneaks into a private home and accidentally shoots the homeowner by surprise. That's why it takes premeditation to load your guns than to go break into a private home before you shoot somebody by surprise. I didn't invite anybody in my home, the one above ground or the one below, the one in my backyard. And so here, just a Google Earth map, and what I was showing here. Here's what I believe that was going on during the oil show parties, and then the parties going on the night of show. The people at the large parties were parked in the Home Depot parking lot. And I believe that the Home Depot is right across from the alley from my home. And I believe that because I was in a Home Depot store one day, and I told the clerk my story, and she says, if you happen to see a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night, it's because we're stalking. And, and I hadn't seen it and thought about it. And I thought, that sounded like a clue. She's telling me that was the excuse. And so an oil show party, an international oil show convention, would have a lot of people there. They'd need a lot of parking. They'd need an excuse. Oh, we're seeing a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night. So I'm believing that they parked here and they went in the store somewhere and went underground somewhere over there. And then here behind the Home Depot store, you can see where the ground was cut here. I've got better pictures than that, but it's real clear. The ground, the asphalt was two different colors here, whereas the large ditch was cut coming aimed directly at my house. I believe that was a tunnel ditch. And so they're parking here, going underground here, had their excuse, and then they come from a tunnel over here. And then in my backyard is one of the underground homes. I was told there were 4 of them on a recorded phone call. And then I'm suspecting maybe another one is over here in this empty lot, okay? Because this house had the same mortar problem in my home, and it's believed that mortar problem had to do with digging under it. And it also has a water well in that lot, and the next door neighbor has a water well right there. So that's one reason I think there's one underground home, one here, one underground home there, and somewhere there's 2 more of them. I was told there's 4 of them. So that's that Facebook post. But here was the comment that I got today. from Elizabeth Chance, and she says, I think these people who give you information should write it down and have it notarized or fill out an actual affidavit. That would meet a higher legal standard, And, and I shook my head when she said that, I'm like, and I'm going to read my reply, which is a little long, but I could have made it much longer. And this is what I want the sheriff and the rangers and everybody else in the whole world to read and understand this. This is a very important point, and that's why I'm making this video right here. And I replied, Elizabeth, a legal standard would be for court purposes, and I don't have the authority to charge anybody with murder, burglary, obstruction of justice, theft, or the many other crimes that have and still are going on. If I could, then I would. Okay. That is done by law enforcement in the DA's office. However, recorded phone calls, emails, Facebook messages, log files, police reports, personal testimony, and medical records, which I have provided, are often used as evidence in court. Your statement reminded me of what I was told by Homeland Security Agent Paul last year when I showed them behind Home Depot where I believe the human trafficking murder tunnels were at based on evidence that I found. I was showing you that where the ground looked like it was cut. Okay. He said, buddy, I can't take this to court. That's what Paul told me. And I said, that's not how it works. I report the crimes to you, the law enforcement officer. You investigate, you build the case, and you take it to court. That is what they're paid to do. That's what law enforcement does, Law enforcement has tools and authority which I don't have, right? If you lie to a federal law enforcement officer, you can go to prison for that. That is against the law. But you can lie to me all day long. You see how that works? I'm not the one. I'm not the one building a higher legal standard. I'm trying to get law enforcement to do their job and solve these crimes and stop these murders. Okay. I'm going to go on. They could go ask Rhonda Denman Rogers exactly where in a half block is the underground facility that she told me about. Remember, I took a screenshot of her telling me it was a half block away. They could speak with a woman I recorded telling me there were 4 3-bedroom underground homes that were 25 foot deep, which pedophile parties were being held. Now, keep in mind, law enforcement go to them and ask them that question, and if they lie about it, they go to prison, right? That's why law enforcement does the, higher legal standard, builds the case and takes it to court and does the investigation. They could talk to Angie McGee Hurley that told me about the young girl who was murdered at the oil show party, and they could pull the phone records to verify what I said about her driving 5 minutes from my home to the party. And see, that's how I knew that the party was 5 minutes from my home, because we were talking on the phone as Angie left my home and drove to the party. I believe it was in the underground homes where that little girl was murdered. And in 2013, the remains of a young girl were found. They could speak with former Martin County Sheriff John Woodward and find out why he was at my home minutes after a murder attempt when he wasn't dispatched. And keep in mind, this is Midland County. That's a sheriff from a whole different county. They could speak with MPD officers Rosie Rodriguez and April Chandler, and who lied about meeting me at the 7-Eleven, and then were seen on camera planting my stolen phone behind my nightstand, and then other cases of them lying on police reports and tampering with evidence. They could speak with MPD officers Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale and find out how they got into my home without being seen on the security cameras that saw Woodward and Naylor arriving 4 minutes earlier. All my doors were secured. There wasn't no other way in. They came in from the now removed trap door the ex-wife had already told me about and from where I'd been shot. I suspect one of them may have shot me. Okay. They could find out who illegally withheld the police report from me after it was subpoenaed in 2013 and why 6 of the 11 officers' names were omitted on that report. That's more felonies. They could talk to the Odessa American and find out why they posted 2 death notices for Mike Lawhon, one saying he died in Fort Worth, and then 4 days later posting a second one changing the location of death, saying he died at his residence. Which actually, they could talk to Marilyn DeLuigi, the neighbor that told me twice he died at this house. She also said somebody else died here too. They could find out why the pellets removed from my foot were 2.5 sizes different than what was in my gun. And they could find out why CSI Marty Barrett didn't check into evidence a used shotgun shell when he picked up my gun, but he checked in the live shotgun shells from it. They could ask Lisa Rogers how she knows I was shot with a .45 handgun. That's all the proof I've been showing I wasn't shot with my gun, which means somebody came to my home and shot me. That makes it a capital attempted murder because, once again, they didn't accidentally accidentally sneak into a home and accidentally shoot a homeowner by surprise. That's premeditated, cold-blooded, capital attempted murder. They could talk to Arthur Welch, who told me that he overheard the ex-wife planning my murder with her corrupt police friends, like he wrote on his Facebook wall. They could ask the ex-wife why she took my life insurance books just a couple of weeks earlier, and then why she brought them back a week before, I was ambushed and shot. Some people are wondering if she brought them back so she wouldn't have physical possession of them when I happened to die by accident. There was a $500,000 life insurance policy if her friend, Rosie Rodriguez, would rule my murder an accident. They could find out why concrete was poured 2 weeks after I showed Homeland, where I believe the human trafficking murder tunnels were at. I believe they were filling up the tunnels that I showed them at. Tampering with evidence in a capital murder. That's what that's called. They could find out why Vice President Pence decided to fly to Artesia, New Mexico a few hours after I posted a story in my Facebook called Artesia Suspects. I had recorded a woman telling me about a rich guy in Artesia, or a town near Hobbs, started with an A, that was connected with these underground crime facilities. They could speak to every other homeowner besides me that has reported people in the attic. There's a dozen that identified just in Odessa, Midland. They could find out why the Midland Police Department says that nobody has reported somebody in the attic in the last 10 years. And we know that's a bold-faced lie because I got the proof when I did. And I have the calls recorded off the police scanner for all them other homeowners. They could talk to the next door neighbor who put in the suspected tunnel entrance in his backyard around the time that Mike Lawhon died, and then took it out after I survived the home invasion and murder attempt. They could ask him about lying to the police about me slashing tires on vehicles that were watched by my security cameras, which never happened. They could talk to Google Maps, find out why a large facility is shown in my backyard, but it's not seen from above ground, believed to be one of the 4 underground homes and where the young girl was murdered. I could go on and on and on about what law enforcement could and should be doing in the investigation of the suspected murder of Mike Lawhon, the young girl whose remains were found outside of Midland in 2013, and the hundreds of felony burglaries, thefts, and capital attempted murder on my life. The holdup isn't on me, but corrupt police that have been allowing these crimes. And so I just got a couple examples because I want to keep this video short. The log file shows that they tried to disable the camera that caught them. That's the only reason, they were hiding the police report and they accidentally caught themselves on camera. That was right there. That's a miracle is what it was. But I'm sure, that messed them up, This where on the left was from the security cameras out front, and it showed Woodward and Nader arriving. Took 6 years to get them identified. I had to save up disability money and offer a reward, and that's unprecedented. Never happened before in the history of America. Can't get a news story in the whole nation, right? Secret police, $2,000 for the secret police. Finally get them identified. Nobody's arrested. They're still police, Here's their names right here. That's who real law enforcement needs to talk to, and then as I already talked to other, but here's the names: Rosie Rodriguez, April Chandler, Tony Dickey, Greg Chatwell, Greg Nelson, Marty Barrett, Chad Simpson, Mike Naylor, Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick, John Woodward. Do you think they didn't know that there was a $2,000 reward? You don't think they knew that in the 6 years after they were caught inside my home, planting evidence and staging the crime scene of a home invasion, capital attempted murder, left a crime victim crippled for life, a guy that had been reporting crime to them, and they're the crimes they're supposed to be solving. Okay, and here's Odessa American right here. Yeah, and this is what I said. I'm just showing you. Odessa American, they posted a death notice saying Mike Lawhon died in Fort Worth. They posted it on October 14, 2008. 4 days later, they changed their death notice, posted a second death notice, changed the location of death, okay, and posted on October 18th and said he died at his residence. And that's what Marilyn DeLugia told me, okay? And then 12 years later, they deleted this one after I told Kreiner and the Rangers that there was 2 death notices for Mike Lawhon. I believe Mike Lawhon was murdered in this house. And then I found out he was telling his friends about people breaking his house before he died. Okay, here's the Google Maps. They, once again, they could ask Google, why is there a large facility shown in my backyard that's not shown from above ground? It's not there. I think it's one of the underground, 3-bedroom underground homes, 25 foot deep, where they were having the oil show parties, where they murdered that little girl that Angie told me about. But they could investigate that, and that's what I'm saying. They could talk to Layla O'Brien that said that she worked on the Safe House project, cost $7.35 million, finished 1987. She believed the Bushes were involved in that. Back then in 87, Bush was vice president, and the Bushes are from Midland, and they called it the Safe House project. They could talk to Joe Lozano, recorded him telling me that the underground homes was a hideout for the late Sheriff Painter. Well, I think that, that would be a higher legal definition when they talk to Lozano themselves, besides the recording I made. Here's more Google Maps showing that in 2008, March, the suspected tunnel entrance wasn't in the backyard of the neighbor's house, but it was there by December 2009. What happened during this time? The guy living here died, Mike Lawhon. So it was put in somewhere around the time Mike Lawhon died. And then I'm shot in 2012. It's still here in October 2014, but it's mysteriously gone in 2016, along with a live tree that's been taken out where another suspected tunnel entrance is. Maybe real law enforcement wants to talk to Home Depot and find out why they took out that live tree and why there's two side-by-side manholes. And recently, concrete was poured there. I got that on video too. Okay, this is only some of the evidence. Okay. Here's the lab report showing the size of pellets, and here's one of the pellets, okay? And so they're 2.5 sizes different. That's absolute proof showing I wasn't shot with my gun, and proof showing I ain't shot with my gun means somebody came to my home and shot me. But what I'm showing here, the Glazer safety slug, which is a bullet with a plastic tip on it, has pellets inside of the bullet. The size of the pellets actually match what was removed from my foot. More than that, the surgeon said he removed a large amount of plastic. Well, that's a plastic tip. Lisa Rogers was documented saying I was shot with a 45. They make that for a 45. I believe I was shot with a 45 handgun loaded with a Glazer safety slug to make it appear that I was shot with my shotgun. And that way they could claim it was an accident and get that extra $500,000 of accidental life insurance. How would they know about the life insurance? The ex-wife took the life insurance books right before the murder attempt, right? My sister-in-law saw them while they were gone. She will verify it. Talk to Mitzi Webb. She will tell you she saw them books, And so there's just more of that evidence. And then these homes, I can talk to all these homeowners. I've got the calls recorded from the scanner with the addresses. They can look them up just like I did. They investigate. And I got a feeling there is a ton more that I didn't just happen to overhear on the scanner. They've rigged homes all over Midland, Odessa for this burglary, theft, probably human trafficking, for-profit murders, and then all over the country. California, Oregon, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Alabama. I mean, all over the place. I've had people write me and tell me that they're people in the attic. This is widespread racketeering. And so it's not, buddy, that, you need a higher definition. You need a better legal document, and then the police will investigate. No, the police are not investigating because I don't have a better legal document. They're doing, this is nothing but bold in your face. We're going to come in your home and murder you. Corruption. This has to stop. We do have good law enforcement officers out there that are not okay with breaking into private homes and murdering innocent people. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.